So this week I had my world kind of flipped upside down a little bit. I got the summons a couple weeks back, and I put it on my calendar that I got to be making my phone calls, and I'm looking at my jury number. And I don't know if anyone's ever had this happen to you before, but you know when your juror number is small, there's a good chance you're getting called first. So sure enough, I check in the Friday before the first day, and my juror number is brought in, my group number. And so I go in on Monday hoping that they will see me and think, nope, don't want that guy. Well, this was a big case. And so they said, well, this case could take up to 4 days, if not more. And they started asking the jurors, the questions, and I took my opportunity to throw down, yes, I'm a pastor, and I'm a bit of a Jesus freak, and that's where I stand. And they were specifically asking questions about, what's your stance on the gun issue? What's the problem, and what do you think the solution is? And I said, the problem is that man's hearts are broken, and the only solution is that only God can change a heart. And so if we want to see if we need to see guns stop being so violent, we have to change man's heart. And the moment when I said that, all the lawyers' heads went down and they all started taking notes. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. Right? But the problem was that they ended up calling me forward. I did end up on the jury, and after I spent a long time canceling appointments and having to reset up appointments or whatever, I was able to say, okay, my week is now clear, and I was able to just go all in. And we listened to this case, and we took a lot of notes. It was very difficult for me to just sit still, but I've managed to power through it, worked with some really wonderful people, and I got voted on as the foreman. And so I was really the only there was one other person that was comfortable, that was familiar with, facilitating discussions, and I do so much of that in my job, and so I was like, yeah, I know what so I got as the foreman. But so we went through the whole thing, and we deliberated, and man, it was really interesting process because it was a criminal case, and so everyone has to agree, right? And so we had to be very thorough, and I was very thankful we had some very detailed minds that were asking every question possible, because you don't want to send someone innocent away. And but when we came to the end, we found that it was pretty clear. This man was guilty of what he had done, and we got to the point where, as the foreman, it's my job. I received those forms, right? And there's two forms, one that says he is guilty, and one that says he's not guilty, and I just signed the ones that we all agreed on, right? So I received the form, and the first one was a pretty big thing. He's going to be in prison for a long time. And I start by dating, and I get ready to sign, and my hands start shaking. Okay? I start shaking because all I can see is his face. Okay? He's a young man. He really was, I do believe, caught up in something. He was caught up in something. But at the same time, he made his choices, and so it was clear. And we spent hours and hours and hours deliberating this. Right? So it was clear he was guilty. But at the same time, my signature had to go on there and declare him guilty. And even though I knew he was, it hurt. I felt sick in my stomach, even though I knew he was guilty. Right? Jesus was innocent. Okay? Jesus was innocent. He had not committed any crime against his Father. He had stayed the course. He had done everything his Father had said to do. He was faithful to his Father and innocent of any sin, of any crime, of any guilt. And yet in his scenario, his own Father was the judge, and his own Father had to sign the form guilty. And he put his innocent Son in a place where the guilty belonged. It took on a whole new meaning this week. This man was guilty, and it hurt my heart. But to take my own child, knowing he's innocent, and to write the words guilty, Why would anyone do that? It's simple. Because of me, because of you. We were guilty. And we were going to be separated from God. We were going to go to a bad place for a long time. Because we deserved it. Because we are guilty. But God in his great love, Jesus in his great love, took a verdict of guilty when he was innocent, so that you and I wouldn't have to endure the pain and the shame of our own guiltiness. Folks, this is why we gather every Sunday and we worship Jesus. Because he is worthy. This is why every Sunday we remember the cross. Because it's worth remembering that our names were up. It was us being declared guilty. But Jesus took that upon himself for us out of his love. That's why we honor him every Sunday in communion. That's why when the bread and the juice is passed, it's a time for us to remember a real body, that bread represents a real body, was broken for us. Hands were pierced, feet were pierced, a back was tortured. A head had a crown of thorns shoved down upon it. A real body was broken so that we could be declared innocent. Real blood was spilled. That's why we drank the juice, to remember. Real blood was spilled. Innocent blood was spilled. Willingly, out of love, so that ours wouldn't have to be the one being spilled. As you take the emblems today, as you remember, as you take the bread and the juice, remember, please remember, you are loved.